How's it going, you guys? So today in this video I'm just going to have a general discussion about practical approach to martial arts training. So first of all, everyone needs to understand that I do come from a background of multiple different types of martial arts. For the past 3 years I've been doing more MMA style training. I've been training with other MMA fighters, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and wrestling. But before that, for many years I was actually studying traditional martial arts. I studied Filipino knife fighting, I studied a modified version of Wing Chun, and I studied traditional Shaolin Kung Fu, Shaolin martial arts, that actually from China, from a 34th generation Shaolin disciple, or 32nd generation, I think it was 34th. And I did that for 4 years straight. And I also did karate on and off for different parts of my life and other things. So by all means, I don't consider myself an expert, but I spend a lot of time reading books on martial arts, watching varieties of different types of videos. I watch a lot of actual street encounter videos where people get ambushed by weapons, by guns, surprise attacks, street fights, which are really stupid, robberies at stores, muggings. I watch a lot of like real world martial arts encounters, or not martial arts, but encounters in the real world where you would hope that you have a good self-defense approach, right? But I also watch a lot of real fighting, UFC, K1, kickboxing, even just straight boxing. I watch jiu-jitsu tournaments. I watch all of that, and I like to connect the dots. I like to see everything and how it all plugs into itself, right? Obviously, I've seen a lot of very silly self-defense videos. I've seen, a lot of Aikido videos, which are just really silly. A lot of like Kung Fu practitioners with really silly ideas on martial arts, all sorts of crazy things. A lot of people think that life is a movie, and they think that what they see in movies is going to work for them in real life without actually sparring and getting good at fighting. It's really silly. And then, of course, you have a lot of people who just think that if they get angry, they'll automatically, magically fight effectively. And it just doesn't work that way. In fact, the angrier you are, and the more emotion is fueling you at the moment, the far less effective you're going to be performing. But nobody knows that if they don't spar. Nobody knows that if they don't fight on a regular basis. Even Miyamoto Musashi wrote this and documented this extensively. And anybody who knows Miyamoto Musashi, this guy is not a movie character. This guy was actually a samurai in feudal Japan who has over, 300 or 500 documented, proven sword duels. This man literally survived hundreds of sword duels and somehow lived to write books about it. And these are factually proven. So, like, this guy was the probably the most effective sword or knife type weapon fighting warrior or athlete or martial artist that we really know in all of history. This guy actually constantly expressed his belief that the more emotion you put into martial arts, or the more emotion you have during a fight or during a dangerous encounter, the far less likely it is that you're going to win. Also, Sun Tzu talks about this in some of his writings surrounding the art of war. And then, of course, all of the most prominent martial artists of our time and UFC fighters say the same thing. Bruce Lee has mentioned this type of thing as well. Not that I really think very highly of Bruce Lee, The point is, if you think for 1 second that anger is going to make you a better fighter, you need to just stay in your house and literally never put yourself in any potential danger, because you're probably going to die. Sadly to say, delusion really kills people. Delusion and ignorance. So anyway, the best approach to martial arts. So first of all, you really have to start by asking yourself, what is it that you really want to achieve, right? Like, what are you attempting to get out of your martial arts training? Are you just bored and need something to fill your time? Do you want to get into shape in a more entertaining fashion than running on a treadmill for hours? Or do you want to be able to protect your life and your loved ones if you ever get jumped or mugged or something on the street? Do you want to be able to defend yourself on the street just as a whole? Do you want to defend yourself against weapons, etc.? Or do you just want to be an amazing fighter? Do you actually want to compete? Do you want to get really good at fighting? Like, these are the questions you really got to ask yourself. Or do you want mental training? So the reason why this is very important and why it really changes the approach you're going to have towards your martial arts path or journey is because your intention is going to determine which arts are going to be best for you. Okay? So look, if you want self-defense, if you really want to survive on the street, okay, you don't want to waste your time with self-defense martial arts. This is a really hard thing for most people to swallow. Most people think, I just want self-defense. I don't actually want to spar and get hit and get bloody nose and get knocked out. I don't want to practice fighting. I just wanted to be able to defend myself against somebody who tries to fight me or tries to jump me, tries to choke me, tries to ambush me on the street. Therefore, I should train self-defense to get better at self-defense, right? And the answer is not necessarily. The truth is, self-defense is all it is a matter of surviving a dangerous encounter. If you do any full contact martial art, at least for 4 years, what you're going to learn is how to effectively fight under the danger and pressure of a resisting opponent who's literally trying to inflict harm on you. Okay? If you do wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and grappling, that's going to really help with your sensitivity when people grab you or if somebody tries to choke you from behind. And not only will you be able to act faster, you'll be adapted to the pressure associated with somebody trying to choke you unexpectedly. You'll be able to react a lot faster. And not only that, but you'll already have instinctual responses to chokes and to grabs and to, grappling, to people grabbing you from behind out of nowhere. You'll have instinctual responses that you trained under pressure. Okay? And if you think, so what a lot of self-defense schools try to do is they paint out a scenario where they show you a technique. So like they'll have somebody come up behind you and pretend to grab you from behind, and then you demonstrate some fancy technique where you flip them over your shoulder or something. And the problem is, in real life, someone might come up behind you and grab you, but you're not going to be expecting it. You have to be able to act based off of feeling and based off of that threat response. Literally that feeling like, oh shit, like what the fuck's going on, that is the feeling that you have to react to. It has literally nothing to do with someone grabbing you from behind. Yes, it does to an extent, but you don't understand. It's about the circumstances in which these techniques are applied under. Anyway, let's make this a lot more simple. Basically, you want to get good at fighting. You want to become a good fighter. Okay? When you train any kind of MMA style of training, it doesn't matter about rules, okay? If you think for 1 second that, MMA fighters don't train for kicks to the groin. Like, that doesn't even matter. MMA fighters train to block kicks to the inner leg, to the inner thigh. That's literally the same thing as someone trying to kick me in the nuts. I've done this before when I was sparring with a traditional martial artist. He thought the same shit. I told him, look, try your best to kick me as hard as you can in the groin during sparring. You know, spontaneously, without me even expecting it. Every single time I saw the leg coming towards my groin or the foot coming towards my groin, I literally checked the kick or pivoted to the side or grabbed the leg or just kicked his leg off of me the same way that I would if someone was trying to kick me in the inner thigh or the hip, okay? Someone trying to front kick me in the dick, I'm literally going to respond the same way that I would if somebody was trying to kick me in the hip or the inner thigh. So it doesn't really matter. Like, I've already trained for that action under pressure, okay? Not to mention the majority of street fights or ambushes and stuff like that, they don't really involve a lot of groin shotting. And usually it's grappling, it's throwing, it's trying to knife somebody on the ground, stuff like that, okay? Or shooting somebody at close quarters, which is different. So, yeah, then eye gouging is another stupid thing. If you think for 1 second that a self-defense martial artist can poke me in the eye because they practice eye poke so much, you're wrong, because in order for you to poke me in the eye from striking distance, you're going to have to be able to touch my face with your hand. Well, guess what, guys? When you train MMA, you train to dodge jabs or to defend against jabs. Defending against an eye poke is literally the same thing as defending against a jab to the face. It literally is. So if you can't jab more effective than me, you know, if you can't throw your lead hand to my face as effectively as I can to you, chances are I can eye poke you better. If I have faster hands, faster jabs, like MMA and boxing trains, I probably can poke you in the eye a lot faster and more efficiently than you can. So again, training MMA will make you better at eye poking. Training MMA will make you better at defending against groin shots and inflicting groin shots. I guarantee you an MMA fighter has thrown a front kick or a roundhouse kick to the groin area probably like 1,000 times more than a self-defense person. Same thing with a jab to the face. Dude, we've defended and thrown jabs to the face, hands to the face near the eye area, probably like 20 times the times that you probably have. So again, this is very important to understand. This self-defense based martial arts is a delusion. It's literally an excuse for people to pretend that they are spending their time in a productive way without actually going through the pain that's required to become a good fighter. You're trying to become good at self-defense without ever practicing fighting. You don't want to spar because it hurts your ego, because it makes you realize you're probably not as good of a fighter as you think. It ruins your confidence if you're not good. And it hurts. And if you're sparring with people who are irresponsible, you can get brain damage. But that's really not that big of a problem if you're selective and knowledgeable about what places to train at. So it's an excuse, the self-defense thing. It's to get people, it's to get fat people, to get fat people's money without helping them get in shape and learn the techniques and skills required to actually defend themselves. Honestly, it's very sad. It's very, very sad that they're taking advantage of people that way. But the fact is, if you can't see the ineffectiveness of all of that, then it's not really like you're a victim. You're kind of allowing it to happen. So my point is, you're still going to have to learn how to fight if you want to get good at self-defense, okay? Because you know what they say, a good defense is a great offense. That person's not going to be able to hurt you if you knock them out before they even put their hands on you. So, yeah, there's a lot to say about that. So learning how to fight is going to get you better at self-defense. And obviously, if you want to learn how to become a better fighter, or you want to, compete or something, then you gotta join a gym that teaches whatever you want to compete in. So self-defense, though, obviously you have to learn, you gotta learn how to deal with multiple attackers, right? The big thing, everyone wants to be like Ip Man. Everyone wants to be able to take on, 15 karate black belts with one hand or some shit at the same time. The fact is, having a good base in real fighting, sparring with real people on a regular basis, is probably the number one prerequisite. If you can get... Oh, and Miyamoto Musashi literally said the same thing in the Book of Five Rings, or The Way of Walking Alone, one of those books. If you want to get, or was it The Art of War? If you want to get good at fighting 10 people, you want to get good at fighting one person first. If you can get good at hurting one person, at defeating one enemy, you can defeat an entire army. That's what he says, and this is very true when you actually practice fighting on a regular basis. Okay, it's what these Aikido people don't understand. They're like, I practice for multiple attackers. Hee ha ha, I'm better than you. Ho. But they never sparred in their life. I could take on a boxer. I'm Aikido, but you never sparred with Muhammad Ali or whatever. It really is delusion, but anyway. If you want to take on an entire army, get good at taking on one person first. Most people who do these self-defense crap, they can't even take on one person, and they think that they can be like Ip Man and throw thousands of people over their back and shit. It's not going to happen. So, get good at fighting, okay? Get good at fighting one person, and you could even do experiments where you have 3 sparring partners come at you and you try to fight them off. You can do stuff like that as long as it's live sparring. Jiu-jitsu is absolutely essential. Learning how to escape grappling on the ground, on the floor, and while standing up, and in the clinch, and up against like a cage or a wall. People think, oh, a cage, blah, 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 MMA, blah, 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 is gay, it doesn't work. But look, you learn how to defend grappling from a clinch position up against a wall. You learn how to, if someone has you pinned up against a wall, having a good base in Greco-Roman wrestling and Muay Thai is going to be essential, because it'll allow you to escape the pin no matter how big the guy is. Believe me, strength and size does matter when a guy super strong and bigger than you has you pinned up against a wall. It matters. If he's stronger than you, you best believe some good Muay Thai or Greco-Roman wrestling or judo is going to help you escape that. So yeah, training wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and grappling is going to help you escape that if you ever encounter that situation in a self-defense, real-life situation. And real live sparring, like an MMA gym, is going to help you escape that position. Groin shots and shit, it's not relevant. So, get good at the individual aspects of fighting in all situations, real fighting, and you'll be able to do all this crazy shit that people think you can do in self-defense. You do it a lot better. Defending against a weapon, you'll be a lot better at that if you learn how to grapple, because most people with a knife, they're going to try to grab you first. It's going to be at close quarters. Okay? They're not going to lunge at you like that, and if they do, well, you could literally just get out of the way. Usually you could run out of the way, you could dodge it, unless you're shocked under the stress of the fight. Usually people grab you first. It's in a grappling situation, and that's really not good. Usually it's in a struggle for the knife that people actually get stabbed. So learning how to grapple is a good idea. So weapon training is definitely a good thing to do, but not if you don't already know how to fight. If you haven't spent 4 to 6 years in foundational fighting gyms or schools, if you haven't done some type of full contact martial art for a couple years and you don't know the basics of footwork, of bobbing and weaving and blocking, wrist control, head control as far as like takedowns and grappling and wrestling is concerned, where the person's head is the direction of the person's head is usually the direction their body's going to go. If you don't do foundational fighting, then you have no business learning how to use weapons, how to defend multiple attackers. You can't even fight one person unarmed. What makes you think you're going to be able to fight somebody with a weapon, or multiple people with a weapon or unarmed? You think you can just, I'm some kind of magical martial art wizard now. I can just take on like 50 people with guns because I know magical chi blast aikido. But I've never fought one person with no weapons. Yeah. It's really crazy. You have to start with the very simplest thing first. You have to start as a beginner, sparring against another clueless beginner, and learn the basics of fighting as a beginner, and then become better and better and better at fighting against another fighter with rules, with protective gear, until eventually you can just go full on, full contact. You can grapple on the ground, you can grapple against a cage or a wall, you can defend takedowns, you can throw elbows, knees, you can defend against them. Seriously, then you'll be the crotch-shotting machine. So multiple attackers. So you could do like Krav Maga, but I know a lot. I have a friend that teaches Krav Maga, and he's been teaching it for years. He's been teaching martial arts all of his life, and he's great, and his school's great. The only problem is a lot of Krav Maga tries to steal your money. Like, they're just money hungry. It's like some of it's real good and it's legit. A lot of it is just like a general like cardio kickboxing fitness center, and not a real like military martial art skill practicing center. You got to be careful with that. You should look at the students and how many of them actually have a job that involves full contact martial arts. Are they a bouncer, police force? Are they in the military? Are they a corrections officer? Are they a bodyguard or something? Also look at their best students. How efficient are they at these things? How effective are they? What is their mindset? Are they narcissistic? Are they arrogant? Whoa! I almost fell off my chair. No self-defense could have prepared me for that. Anyway, I almost fell off my chair. So, whatever you choose, start with the foundational fighting. And then think about situational awareness, okay? Anything at all, meditation, right? Listening to your surroundings, going to a park and just eavesdropping, like sitting in one place, listening to your breathing. Then focus on the birds chirping. Then focus on the cars driving by. Listen to the leaves blowing through the wind. Listen to, are there any animals going through the park? Can you hear conversations? Try eavesdropping on conversations. Get better at being sensitive to your environment. Situational, and this is something I've done my entire life. I'm real good at this. I'm a bit paranoid. When I go pee at public restrooms and things, even at my own restroom in my own house, I literally position myself in a way that I can easily like defend from or run away. And when I sit at restaurants, no matter where I'm at, I always try to stay in the least vulnerable position. Like, I'll have my back against the wall in a corner with my eyesight facing all the entrances and exits of the building. so I can see the entire building from where I'm sitting. That way, if a bunch of like crazy terrorists try to come and shoot up the place, I'll be the first one to see it and probably the first one to react. And if anyone's getting out of there alive, it's going to be me. So that's the kind of mindset you want to develop. It's a lot more about a mindset. People are like, no, you want keto, blah, blah. Like, bro. Like no one thinks about how life actually works. People want to believe in this fantasy land nonsense. Keto doesn't teach you these simple things of situational awareness. I mean, they work a lot on like spiritual enlightenment or something, I guess, but they're not even enlightened enough to understand you gotta learn how to fight to defend yourself in a fight. Stupid. So meditation is great. Learning common sense is great. Just working on your awareness, working on your sensitivity to your environment, and your general fitness. Multiple people trying to grab you, for one, like in the case of an abduction of some kind. It helps, for one, to have great grappling skills, being able to offend and defend in grappling. It helps to be very strong. It helps to have a lot of cardio. It helps to have a lot of pain tolerance, pain endurance, and just mental and physical toughness. So that means, doing some extremely vigorous wrestling style training, like flipping tires, like heavy tires, doing push-ups on your knuckles, having somebody slam a medicine ball on your abdominals, as long as you know how to brace your core and breathe properly when you get punched in the gut. Doing a lot of break falls and rolling and stuff like that on a harder surface. And just, having experience getting beat up by sparring partners over and over again will really help you be able to deal with it in real life. You're never going to be able to survive getting jumped by multiple people if you never get beat up during full contact sparring. Really, guys. You start getting fucking beat up in a real confrontation, if you've never trained that shit before, never actually practiced fighting, you're gonna fucking die. It's really, yeah. Multiple attackers and weapon training and stuff like that. Sure, you can go to Krav Maga. Sure, you can go to a ninjutsu school. And these days, I'm kind of more open to these kinds of things because I realize it's really not that big of a deal. Like, the actual art is actually pretty cool. It's more of a historical representation, a historical representation of samurai ideologies and whatnot. It's really cool. Some of those things actually teach some decent skills. It's cool. It's just that it's usually a lot of anime nerds and just fat people and just people that don't have athletic capabilities to run away from a confrontation, let alone the skills required to actually deal with one. They don't learn how to actually fight first. They don't learn fighting you don't learn how to fight at self-defense school. Okay, that's the entire reason why I'm making this video. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things for me to go into deeper detail with on that. But other than that, a lot of people join martial arts for spiritual enlightenment, discipline, building mental character, for building health, right? I'm really into Chinese medicine, holistic healing, which just means, looking at the entire picture, the whole picture, rather than looking at the human body as a machine. Just learning how to build strength in yourself, right? Improving your mind and your body's health. And that's what a lot of Shaolin martial arts actually practice. Many people don't understand Tai Chi, Qigong, and Nigong, Bagua, and stuff like that. A lot of it's more of spiritual cultivation. It's a lot of cultivating and building health, right? Developing health of the body and mind, right? A lot of meditation stuff goes into that, and flexibility and circulation training. It's really good stuff. Karate has a lot of that too, as well as some decent fighting. Not great, but decent. So somebody looking for more of a health and lifestyle type of thing, you know, a lot of traditional martial arts are great for that. Karate can be great for that, depending on the school. Tai Chi is great. A good Tai Chi school, a real one that has roots in China. Your instructor's like Chinese. Shaolin, not Shaolin Do, but Shaolin martial arts from China, right? From the Shaolin Temple. Really good stuff for health. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot more things I can touch on, but I just want to kind of give a general overview here for 30 minutes of like how your idea towards martial arts, how your approach towards it is going to give you results or give you fantasy. And that's basically the gist of all of this. So leave your questions and comments down below. Disagree with me in the comments. Subscribe to me for more videos on health, psychology, philosophy, martial arts training, and all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you all in the next video.